Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here today. You know why you're here. Sometimes I wonder if I know why I'm here. You ever had that moment when you're facing something that's terrifying, which I get to do that next hour. I'm a presenter that's coming up for my first time here. And you have those moments when your body betrays you and it won't work, you know. Mine was sitting in the car waiting for an angel to show up as my body started to shut down. Ever have that happen? And everything started to kind of implode. And I was looking for a way out gracefully. There's no way out gracefully. When it comes to body language, there's a lot that can be learned, right? One of the things I love most about Ann Washburn is her ability to be able to help you tap into what's happening energetically on the outset of your body so that you can translate that into something that you want. Who wants more of what they want? Yeah? Turn to your neighbor and say, I hope you get everything you want. Turn to your other neighbor and say, you are so worth it. There's lots to be learned here at this conference, but least of which is our body and spirit connection and how those two play and interact together. So I hope in these next awesome, yummy minutes that you really absorb what Ann has to teach you about body language. You know, everything's shaking up here. Don't read mine, okay? Analyze it after, okay? I hope that you really tap into what she has to say about your body language. I do know this. The more I've listened to her, the more that I've applied the things that she's taught me, the better I've gotten at presenting. The more money I've brought into my family. Because I've learned to stop doing this. Kind of, sort of. Do you want more money? Mm-hmm. You want more time? Mm-hmm. First thing she taught me was just hold. It's amazing what you can learn via the Spirit and about Jesus Christ and your mission on this planet when you learn to just hold still. Who's in for that? Yeah? I'm so excited to have my friend here, my angel who came and rescued me from my car and reminded me that I had 2 feet for walking and that it would be okay. And without further ado, I'd just like to invite her up here. And if you'd just give her the biggest, yummiest round of applause, I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we do the changing of the recorder here, because at this event we get to wear fancy jewelry. How many of you know anything about body language? All right, awesome. How many of you would like to be able to have higher levels of energy on any given day? All right, awesome. That is what we want to hear about. Okay, I am really excited to be here. My name is Ann Washburn, and I'm a mentor, I'm a trainer, I am a keynote speaker, I'm a body language expert. But my life, my past life, was not the same thing as what I have today. And so the things I want to share with you today, I hope you're sitting by somebody who has one of these handouts you can take a picture of. But the things I want to share with you is I want to talk about the concept that we have the ability to change our state of mind. And when you change your state of mind, you change the state of your life. So change the state of your mind to change the state of your life. Because when it comes to communication, on my board back here, I'm going to move this one. I have here the 3 voices of communication. When it comes to communication, only 7% of your communication is the words that you speak. 36% is the tone of those words. And 57% is your gestures or your body language. And so if your body language and your words don't match, which piece of your communication are people going to believe? The body language. When your words and your body language send different messages, people listen to the body language. They may not say, oh yeah, I was watching your body language and I saw you do this. What usually they'll say is, well, I just have the feeling that I don't want to be around them, or it just doesn't feel good there. We don't directly recognize that we're reading the body language, but we, on our subconscious level, are always watching body language. Body language is a fascinating topic. I love teaching and sharing with people because when it comes to communication, The opposite, miscommunication, is very costly in our lives. When we miscommunicate, it can cost us in relationships. It can cost us if we have allergies and we miscommunicate to the waiter or waitress at a restaurant. It can be very costly. Miscommunication is something that ruins results. It will cause us to miss goals. And so in our life, it's important to recognize we can improve our communication by first understanding how we communicate. Well, today while you're here, I'm going to talk not just about the communication that goes out, but also how we communicate with our own selves. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about where your body language comes from, and then teach you things that you can do that will change the state of your energy level. So I work with a company called 3 Key Elements. Who's heard of it? A few of you. Awesome. And I've been working with this company a little over 5 years. And in that time, I have completely changed all of the relationships in my life in a good way. And so I bring all of that today because I want to be able to share that with you. Would it be okay if I told you really quick how I ended up being a body language expert? Yeah? Okay, awesome, because it's kind of fun. I've been working for 5.5 years with 3 Key Elements. Before that, I worked in explosives and flight simulation. So my degree is in mechanical engineering. So I worked explosives, flight simulation, body language expert. Doesn't that sound like a career path? But the reason that happened was because, let's face it, as an engineer, I didn't have to communicate with people around me very much. I could just get my work done, and that was all I had to do. And then I could leave and drive home and interact with very few people, maybe 2 or 3 in the whole day. But what I found was that I got to a place in my life where I was very hard on myself. I was very hard on me. We have a tendency as humans to believe that everybody around us is doing better than we are on the inside of us. So help me out here for a second. Have any of you ever had comments that went through your head that said, I'm not a very good parent, or people don't like me very much, or I'll never succeed at my goals, or I don't understand why everybody can do better than I can? If you've ever had any of that kind of comment in your head, would you please raise your hand? And leave them up for a second, just play. Look around and notice that you're not alone. You're not alone. And so I want you to recognize that from the onset, because we have a tendency, which I did 6 years ago in my life, I had a tendency to sit home and beat myself up on the inside of my head because I believed that nobody else had as much negative going on in their head, or nobody else hasn't had as much trouble achieving their goals. Thank you. Or nobody else had as much trouble moving forward as I did. And so for me, I got to a place in my life where 6 years ago, I would send my kids to school and I would hide in the house. I would lock the doors and I would not answer the phone and I would not answer the door. Because no matter how hard I tried, my results came back not the way I thought they should. The effort I put out was very great. The results I got back were hard. And I couldn't figure out why everybody on the planet was so mean. Has anybody else ever thought that? In fact, I even went and asked my husband. I'm like, why is everyone so mean? He goes, Anna, I don't think you want that answer. I'm like, fine, you're mean too. But here is where I was at. And at this point in my life, the loudest comment in my head was one that said, Ann, your kids would be better off with any mom than you. That's a pretty mean comment. But I'll bet you that there's other people here that have had those kinds of comments in their head. And it was very hard for me. And I didn't want to try to communicate with people. Because let's face it, information travels very quickly. I can get my phone out and I can see what's going on the other side of the planet, you guys. Information travels at light speed. But if information was all I needed to achieve my goals, we would all be the happiest, most self-sufficient, successful people on the planet. Who feels like you're one of the happiest, most successful, and self-sufficient people on the planet? Good answer. So we need to know what to do to get from this place where we feel messy to a place where we feel like we're proficient at being able to accomplish things in our lives. And one of the first places that this starts is by changing the state of our mind. But I'm going to show you, I was telling you how I came to be a body language expert. Oh yeah, let's go back there. So what happened was, here I was at home, and I was nursing this comment that my kids needed a different mom than me. And one day my husband comes home, and he finds me hiding on a couch under a blanket. And he lifts up the blanket, and he says, Ann, I signed you up for a class. And I said, go away, I don't want to go to a class. And he goes, you're going to go learn about communication and body language. Go to the class. Oh, body language, huh? Watch my body language as I go to your class. And I sat in the back row, and I thought, go ahead, try and teach me something. Because it wasn't me. Everybody around me needed to change, not me. Because I knew that I was nice on the inside, but for some reason that didn't get to the outside. But as I sat there in that class and I listened and realized that the body language and the words can be aligned to send the same message, and that I can use my body language to change the state of my mind, I started being able to take over control of what was going on in my life, instead of having my life take control of me. So I went home and adjusted my body language. And the big problem was I immediately got different results. Dang it. Because then my stubborn kicked in. Anybody here stubborn? Yeah, and all of you others that didn't raise your hand, you're so stubborn. I've been watching you. But stubborn is good if I point it in the right direction, if I choose the direction to point my stubborn. And so I went home, adjusted my body language, got different results, and said, well, how come I never learned about body language? If it matters this much, how come nobody taught me about it? And so that's when I chose to change my career, and going from doing fun things like fight simulation and blowing things up to the scary stuff like standing up in front of people and teaching them things that you've learned. So I changed my career because I want to share with you these shortcuts. I want to give to you the steps that I have taken in my personal life to change my levels, to change the state of my mind so that I could change what was going on around me. So I've gone from a place where in my life, nobody wanted to be around me. My results were low. I struggled in every area of my life, whether it was with my relationships with my family, my kids, my sister-in-laws, or let's face it, we have relationships with things like our car. Do you have a relationship with your car? Absolutely. And the way you treat your car, it will either raise or lower your energy. You have relationships with money. You have relationships with time. How you treat time and money will either raise your energy or lower your energy. You have relationships even down to what your closet looks like at home. And I like that giggle. No, not my closet. We have relationships, and when we improve relationships, we improve our ability to achieve our goals. So there's a lot of different pieces in there, and I want to cover as many as I can in the time that we're here. Are you good? You want to learn it? All right, awesome. You don't have to lock the door. We're good. Okay, so if you turn on your handout, can I borrow this one for a second? So be where you can see one of them. No, we did not get them. So what you can do is take a picture of it with your smartphone. You're welcome to take a picture of it with your smartphone so you have it. Because what I have printed in here, this part 1 is some general messages that you send with your body language. General messages that you send. And so take a picture of that. The other part that I'm going to cover while you're here is where this stick figure is. So if you have a notebook and a paper, if you draw a big stick figure that looks like this one, you'll be covered for what we're going to cover. Because I'm going to show you where in your brain your body language is coming from. Because when you understand that, you'll understand why you have the power with body language to change the state of your mind and to change your energy. So this part right here is where I want to start. So up here on the board, in my nice textured paper, because the wind was so nice to blow this all over the parking lot. Because just know, this morning I spoke at a women's conference up in northern Utah. I spoke at 2 conferences. Then I spoke at the Salt Palace, and then I came down here to speak to you guys. And so in between, all of my papers decided they wanted to blow all over the place. So that's why they're nice and textured. But when it comes to your brain, you have a conscious and a subconscious, true? Which one handles more information? The subconscious. How much more information? I had somebody this morning that said 100%. And I'm like, maybe a little less than 100%, because that would mean the conscious brain has checked out, isn't doing anything. Some days we might feel that way. But on average, the subconscious actually handles 1,000,000 times more information than the conscious mind. 1,000,000 times. So that's a lot. That means every time my conscious mind processes, say, 40 pieces of information, the subconscious is going to process 40 million pieces of information. So knowing that your subconscious runs through a lot of information, I want you to understand that in order to process it quickly, your subconscious has programs that are in there. Just like your computer has programs, it has an operating system, our subconscious also has programs that it uses to process information. And so that information is run through those programs so that we can quickly get usable information. But on your computer, what happens if your computer program has a virus in it? Do you get back the information you thought you should get? No. Could the information you get back cause problems? Absolutely. There could be a bug in your program. Well, your subconscious, the majority of the programs in your subconscious were put there between birth and 11 years old. That's when most of your programs came from. So the question is, are all of the programs in your subconscious good for you? Are you sure? How many of you had parents? Oh, we all get a turn messing up our own kids. It's kind of part of the program, but it's totally fine, because part of the way that we grow the most is by recognizing our programming and choosing if we want to keep it or not. This is why most of us are like, I really hope I can raise my kids at least better than my parents raised me. Has anybody ever thought that? Oh, yeah. My parents are my heroes because they were both raised in very harsh, abusive situations, and they chose to raise me differently. They did something different. Were they perfect? Did I get messed up programming? Sure. But I'm trying to do better with my kids, and do I mess them up? Yep. I do. In fact, my oldest 2 are currently on LDS missions outside the country right now. One is in Honduras, one is in Croatia. And I'm always emailing them, I'm so sorry I messed you up. Here, try this out. This will help. And lucky to me, they will try what I give them. And they have grown amazingly. I'm so proud of them. But in our lives, we have to recognize that we have programs in our subconscious. Our computer knows that if there's a glitch in a program, we need to upgrade our programming. But our subconscious should also have an upgrade button. Would anybody like an upgrade button? Oh, good. So those 7 of you that would like one, I will provide the information. This is where the body language comes into play. Okay, so listen to this last piece. I need you to understand this last piece of science, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty of the body language. And just so you know, I'm going to be asking for volunteers. Notice everybody quit breathing in that moment. And don't worry, it's very safe, and I won't expose everything I know about you from your body language. It'll be okay. But if you don't want to volunteer, you can volunteer the person next to you, and we'll be good. So inside your subconscious, okay, two more things I need you to know. Your subconscious does not care if a program is good for your results or not. And here's why. Your subconscious wants to keep you alive and wants to keep things familiar. Those two things. Nowhere in there does that say our subconscious wants to make sure that I accomplish the goals I set for myself on January 1st this year. Darn it. That would be nice if it would do that. But our subconscious, as long as the program doesn't kill me and it's familiar, it will defend that program even if it ruins my relationships, even if it messes up my business, even if it lowers my energy. And so it's important to recognize that piece. And now this part. When you're talking to somebody, your subconscious picks the words you speak before you speak them. In fact, your subconscious will give you about 650 words a minute for you to choose from. 650. But most of us cannot speak 650 words a minute. Is that true? This morning I had somebody say, well, I think I can type that fast. And I'm like, I want to see that. That would be like really fast. But we have this many words to choose from. On average, we speak 150 words a minute. So 650 words got prepared. We speak 150 of those words. So how many words got held back? A lot. Good answer. 650 minus 150 is 500 words. Well, our subconscious chose those words based on the programs it wants to defend. Which means my subconscious wants me to send out messages to people that they will pick up on and they'll treat me according to the programs in my subconscious. Because if my subconscious can defend that program and, listen to this part, build up evidence that the program is true. Because think about it. Some of us have programs in our subconscious that say, I'm not worthy and deserving of success. Or nobody will value me enough to help me with this. Or I can't ask for help because that means I'm weak. None of those programs will serve me well, but if my subconscious can defend that program, it does its mission, which is to keep me alive and keep things comfortable and familiar. So my subconscious wants to send those messages out so that people will treat me the way my programs are designed. So isn't that crazy, you guys? We are living like billboards, sending messages out that say, you should treat me like I can't have help on projects. You should treat me like I should be in trouble for things. You should treat me like I can't make a business work. You should treat me like I need to go from marriage to marriage to marriage. We teach people how to treat us, and we don't even know it. Okay, so the proper response to learning that is, go ahead, try it. We don't get to make that sound very often. It's fun. But this is also the good news. Let me show you why. My subconscious says, oh, you could only speak 150 words. Let me help you out, and I'll send the rest of the message out in your body language. But here's the good news. Okay, everybody play with me. Everybody hold your breath. Now, tell your heart to stop beating. Okay, it didn't work. You can breathe again. There are some things that I can take conscious control over away from my subconscious. And there are other things that I can't. So I'm really glad I can't take over my heartbeat because I like it to keep beating. That's a good thing. But I'm really glad that I can take over my body language and send a new message. Because when I do, it not only will send a new message out to the people, it also can help send a new message back to my subconscious. Back to my subconscious. So here's a really fast example. Have you ever given somebody a compliment? What do they do with their body language when you give them a compliment? pull back or push it away. Have you ever seen somebody push it away? You give them a compliment, and they're like, oh, thank you. I'm like, really? My favorite was once I gave somebody a compliment, and they said, oh, thanks. I was like, what? It's a disgusting booger, and you've got to flick it off your finger? I'm like, serious. Or you'll see people that suddenly they have to brush off all their clothes because you gave them a compliment. It's like, really? You're just going to brush it all off? We have programs that say, well, it's not okay to receive a compliment because if I do, I'm prideful. I'm conceited. I'm whatever the word is. I'm reinforcing that program by sending the message, I don't receive what's given to me. So one of the things that I had to do, okay, now can I be vulnerable with you guys for a minute? Would that be all right? I'm trying to decide if I want to be. Okay, here's the thing. The women's conference that I spoke at this morning, and since this is a Christ-centered energy healing, I love that I can use that kind of language. I was actually banned from speaking in this particular region 4 years ago, okay? They had gotten together and they said, some of them said, we want Ann Washburn to come speak. No, you guys, nobody knows this story. Okay. And they said, no, we've heard about her. She can never speak here. And that really hurt my feelings. And in fact, it was probably more like 5 years ago now. And I was like, oh, they don't know who I am. I'm just trying. I'm trying hard. And they had banned me. Well, this year, they contacted me and said, we've had enough requests for you to come speak. We're going to try you out. And I was like, okay, you can try me out. And so they're like, we want you to come speak at this conference. And I said, all right, I'll come speak at the conference. And the problem is it's up where I live. So this is like people I know. Okay, you guys? There are people I know. There are people who knew me 6 years ago, and there are people who still know me now. So they've watched me go through this change. So it was a little, it was a different experience to speak in front of this group. Because I speak in front of thousands of people every month, but here was like my neighbors and people who knew me and knew my kids. And I shared everything with them. I shared everything I could with them in the 40 minutes that they wanted me to speak. The fascinating thing was, afterwards, I had 2 separate ladies that I hadn't seen in years who came up to me, and they said, Ann, we always knew you were amazing, but we couldn't get the message to you. We tried, and you kept pushing it away. And it's so fun to see who you are now. Now, the reason I went there and told you that story that nobody's heard, because it just barely happened this morning, is because I was pushing everything away. If you notice, can I borrow your handout for just a second? On part 1 in the lower left corner of the handout, see where it says 4 foundational moves? 4 foundational moves. Either look at it on the handout or snap a picture. I watch body language everywhere I go, and the most common body language I see is people pushing things away and pushing things down. If you want to see pushing down body language, go to an elementary school on the first day of school. You go in there and all the teachers are like, sit down, be quiet, don't touch your neighbor, we're not going to have recess until everyone's quiet. Anybody here ever been to elementary school? Taught there? There's a lot of this kind of body language. Well, I didn't realize I was pushing body language. I was using pushing body language all the time. And your subconscious does not differentiate between what it's pushing away. And so if you are continually pushing things away like compliments, your subconscious gets the message, I want to push things away. I don't want them in my life. Well, that's going to include time. It's going to include money. It's going to include energy. It's going to include relationships. So if you walked out of here with no other understanding than this one thing, that you can change pushing away into receiving very quickly. If you walked out of here with nothing else, you would start to change your results. And so here, practice with me, practice, because this is how you receive. It's like if somebody gives you a compliment, you like scoop it up and place it gently in your heart. And then you could use these really profound words while you do it. Thank you. Okay, wait, hear all the giggling? I call that growth giggles. Because when you get out of your comfort zone, you don't grow until you start doing things different than the way you've always done them. If you want to increase your energy, you do something new. Not something the same as you've always done it. You try something new so that you can have a different result. And so the next time somebody gives you a compliment, what are you going to do? Thank you. Okay, try it again. Okay, notice how many people's corners of their mouths went up when you did that. When you do that, you're getting out of your comfort zone. And so then I hear the giggles and I see the smiles because you're doing something different. And your spirit is going, oh, yay! Here, try that. That's really fun. Yay! That's what your spirit wants to do because it's like, really? I have so wanted that energy, and you're going to let me have it and not push it away this time? And so here, let's practice. I'm going to give you a compliment, and you guys receive it. Receive it. You guys are the funnest group I have seen all afternoon. I love it. Okay, does it feel different? And so then some of you have this comment that's going through your head right now. That's stupid. It's too simple. Who said it had to be hard? It doesn't have to be hard. It can be simple. But what it requires is us choosing something new, choosing to receive what's given to us. And how many of you just love it when you give somebody a compliment and they throw it away? Don't you just love that? Doesn't it just feel like warm and fuzzy inside because they refused your compliment? So you'll actually will build other people by receiving the compliment as well. Because then they will suddenly feel valuable for what they gave you. People give, they give service, they give gifts because they want to feel valued. They want to help somebody, but they would also like to feel that they did something good. This is, maybe I shouldn't go there. This is what the panhandlers on the corner are selling. They want you to get a chance to feel good. Because if you give them $1 out your window, it's like, oh, I felt good. And so that's what they're offering. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to go on that soapbox. But let me tell you this. One day I had a neighbor knock on my door. And she knocked on my door and she goes, look, I brought you dinner. And I was like, awesome, why? How come I get dinner? And she goes, well, I actually cooked it for this other neighbor, but when I went over there, they looked at it and said, oh, we won't eat that. We don't want it. And she said, so I brought it to you. And I'm like, I will receive. I would love to have dinner. I didn't have to have a baby or anything, and I got to have a meal prepared for me. I'm like, I will so receive that. People don't want our compliments thrown away. They want to receive them. And so one of the key ways to raise your energy is to receive what's coming to you. And when you start to change that program in your subconscious, you'll notice that you start to receive other things in your life. If you work on your relationship with time because you're receiving, you might notice that all of a sudden you're driving somewhere and you hit all green lights. And it's like, oh, thank you. I received that because now I've just been gifted 10 minutes because I didn't have to wait at each of those stoplights. It can happen in all kinds of ways. But until I choose to raise my energy, how can I expect to have new in my life? I can't have good unless I choose to receive it. So that's why the very first thing I'm teaching you here is receive what's coming to you. Because when you do that, now you can have more in your life. Good? Okay, so now I need a volunteer. Okay, actually, maybe I should have several volunteers. So let's have you come up, and the gentleman in the green shirt right here, and then right here with the brown stripes, and right here. Would you come on up? All right, give these guys a big round of applause for being volunteers. Okay, so right up here, right over here, right over here. Actually, we have only one guy and 3 girls. Is there another guy that would like to come up?
Right there.
That's your fiance? Oh, congratulations. But he wants to be able to watch you.
Oh, okay.
I was actually wondering if you would come up. Would you do it? What's your name? Matt, would you come over here by this gentleman, and you come right over here? Because we could have him come too, but I'm just loving watching the smile on his face when he gets to watch you. Here, help me out.
Fine.
Aww. When are you getting married?
Soon.
Soon. That's a good date.
We haven't got one set, just the temple we want to be at.